Okay, so
Even I know that I can't open my mouth and spoil
Finally.
okay, I'll go back then. When you first started working together, season 3, right? Mm-hmm. When did you realize, oh, our characters, there's a little, like, or just as actors, we kind of have a good rapport thing going here?
Well, the first day I dropped you, I wrote, you reminded me, I said to my leading lady.
Yeah, I know. He said something about, I'm so sorry I dropped my new leading lady. And I said, am I?
Yeah.
I had no idea I was the new leading lady. I thought I was just a sword-wielding chick.
And then I remember one Comic-Con that I said that my mum thought it would be
Oh,
great.
you said that 6-7 times.
I kept campaighning and going, I think
But you did it through your mom. Poor
Yeah,
mom.
I
don't even
know, I know.
if
She was like
was
my,
involved.
yeah. But then on set, I never saw, you saw it before I did, didn't you?
Well, you know what? There was this moment, I will say, we were doing an insanely bizarre scene, and it was a bunch of people in it. I think I was about to kill Merle. I wanted to kill him, and there were a bunch. You were standing in front of my sword, which was crazy. It was actually a crazy scene.
Was it the real sword?
It was actually,
That was
and
a
you were
bad
standing right in
mistake.
front of it.
Yeah.
And then you said to me afterwards, you were just like, yeah, it was like there was only the two of us in the scene, though. And you said that to me. I was like, yeah, that's kind of true. And I think that's kind of when it was like, yeah, what was that about?
Was that when Norman said you're flirting?
No, Norman and Yvette Nicole Brown created Richonne at the end of season 3, when it was a scene where we're sort of reconciling, and it was clear I was now part of the group, and that scene where you basically were like, no, because Michonne had been, on dodgy ground with the group.
True.
And then it was the scene where it was like she was thanking him, and then he said it was something about the baby formula, and she said you could have just taken the baby formula, and he says, yeah, you're right, or whatever, or maybe it was something else, and he walks off. And then Norman created the whole theory then. So that we didn't even create the theory, but in terms of us feeling that, as I said in the panel, it was Gimple's episode where he actually wrote those 3 characters into a family, basically, and I had insanely beautiful energy with Chandler.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I didn't even know that
It
was a gift.
That was beautiful because it was through the boy. It was,
but there was a scene. There was a moment me and Andy had that the crew ran to Gimple and said, "Are they going to get together?" And I was like, "What? What are they talking about? That's crazy." And they were like, and he was like, well, but it's been all these moments that people were noticing, various different moments that people thought there's some sort of there's something here between these two characters' energies, and it was always easy to act off of him. That's what I remember. It was always very It was like
kind of intimate.
I see you, and I wanna. One day I'll fix you. No, I'm kidding.
That's true. That is actually on set and off. I'm sorry. Look how pleased she is. That's unbelievable. I love it.
Andrew.
Hello.
Hi. When you left,
yes.
Was it nice to be away from that? Because there was so,
the show,
world.
the world. In what regard? Just the focus.
The focus and it was so much of your world. You'd go there, you'd be in Georgia.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a bit, that was the main reason I had to come home, because I was able to throw my family and the kids around in different schools, and then obviously they became, as they got older, they had to be. We kept putting them in schools. Actually, for the first 5 years of their life, they thought there were no summer holidays because we kept just leaving them in school. But it was. But the interesting thing is, I used to come home exhausted after 8 months, and it took about 2 weeks to decompress because it was such a sort of monastic effort of just control and just day to day, not miss a scene. Let's make sure that we lock this down. Let's make sure that we do this right. And then I had 2-3 years, and then COVID and all that good stuff. But I missed it. I missed that responsibility. And then I started to get less and less respect in my house from my children. And they know all of my best jokes. They know my worldview.
So it was to get cool. It was to get cool again with your kids.
Yeah, I've got no currency in my household, so really I want to get some creds back with my family.
That's why you did Tour of Duty too, right?
Yeah.
Trying to get in there.
Tour of Duty. What's it called? COD.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty. You don't even know what the thing. They've
Well,
done your
it's
scan.
the thing. It's a video game.
Video game.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm talking
COD.
about. Yeah.
And Danai, obviously when you came into the show on season 3, the character was known and was a big deal in that universe.
In the comic book, yeah.
Yes, but she was new to the show, and there were core characters that people loved, and some had been killed off. And were you nervous about how will I fit in this world?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you know, it was already such a juggernaut. Like, it was so big, and I really wanted the job, which doesn't always happen with television. Sometimes you just, especially when you're just starting out, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to get a TV role. I can get paid a little bit, but I was one of those nut jobs who would actually say, I'd be in the sort of test moment where they do a test. You know what I mean by that? Where like, it's when an actor it's like down to the last 2 or 3 actors, and they make you sign the deal before you do your final audition, so that once you do it, if you get it, that's already done. And I would be at the test role moment, and I'd say, no, I can't, because my play, I have to take care of my play. And my agents would be like, they'd be like, okay, we get it. They were very cool about it. I did that the year before I got Michonne, because I knew I did not want to sign my life over to that particular show, which died in few episodes. So thank God. I would have been unavailable for Michonne if I had signed that test deal. And so, because Michonne, I actually really, really wanted, and was surprised I'd never come across the story of her before. I thought she was just such an interesting Black woman. Like, I've never seen that before. And I'm busy trying to write Black women. I was like, I've never seen this before. This is really cool. And yeah, it was scary. And not just because she was already this cool character that deserved justice, but also because these guys had already done all this work. And that was another key reason, was because I'd never watched the show. I'm a scaredy cat. I don't watch that stuff. I don't watch horror. I don't watch zombies. I don't know. Because I got this vivid imagination. I wake up in the middle of the night. I'm thinking, where are they coming from? So I don't watch that stuff, but I had to watch it. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, this is so not about zombies. And I was so amazed by the work that they had done. Him, Lenny, John, everybody. And I was just like, wow, I want to be a part of this. And I generally, that wasn't a feeling I always had, because as a playwright, sometimes I just want to write. And I was like, no, I want into that. And so getting to do it, and I thought I got her. I understood her somewhere. So, once I did get the role, it felt right. But then it was like, then it was now this, 4-foot sword and me having to become friends. So there was that journey to take, and I really wanted to do that justice for the fans, for her, for them, So it was a lot to take on, but I felt, for me, it's like, it's all about the idea, like, just freaking prepare, just prepare to the point where you've done all you can do. If you can at least say that, then the rest, you have to let the cards fall where they may. So yeah, I just worked my tail off, basically. Right. And as I could always see that was the MO.
Well, characters, the viewers, they really relied on your character, Andrew, because he's like the guy, the grounding guy, and as long as he's okay, everything will be okay. And so, what was that like to know or to feel that audiences loved him so much and still do?
What was it like? I don't sort of... I sort of don't really think... I love him a lot. I missed playing him. I missed his heart. And I suppose it's that thing, if you love it, and exactly what Danai's just been saying, if you prepare, if you throw everything out on the field, risk looking foolish in trying to aspire for something unique and something true, then, I like to think that even if you fail and you miss it, the audience forgives you because they see you're trying. And I do think that there was a quote that I loved: a hero is a man who does what he can. And, a person is a hero if they do what they can. And I just think it's, I think that's him. I think that's Michonne. And what I loved about the sort of architecture of this story was that we had these two beautiful, complex lovers that were separated. And let's see if they can find each other, in this story. And that was the bit that I suddenly went, yes, there's a story to complete on a larger framework, but also as 6 hours of film. This will be a really truly beautiful story.
Taking on the role of executive producers, did that give you a sense of, or did that help with the sense of responsibility that you feel for your characters? And did you feel like, okay, because if we're going to revisit these roles, we want it to be at a certain level, and we can help make it that way?
Yes. I think by the end of our time on the show, I think even both of us, we were able to contribute more creatively than, say, at the very, very beginning. Well, I mean, he always could, I guess, but he's a good boy. He doesn't do that until
I don't really get involved in so much in the story.
But at the end, you sort of did.
Well, that's not true. Scott and I had a sort of master plan about my exit strategy. And so
That's what I mean. You were involved.
Yeah, I was, in as much as, when can I go home? And that was as much as I contributed. But no, that's not strictly true.
Not true.
That's not true. I'm going to, at some point, I will say something that is honest and true.
Coffee.
It's coffee. I'll hit coffee in a minute. What happened is that we would sort of talk about the themes at the beginning of each season. And it would be like, where do we want to go? What have we done before? Let's not repeat. The whole thing was, if we're going to keep doing this, if we're going to keep pushing the envelope, if we're going to keep making this show, the fans deserve an evolving sort of character arc in all of the principal characters. And I think Mr. Gimple was absolutely exemplary at fulfilling that.
Very much so.
And so I felt enormous trust in him. And I think that's why I didn't need to get that much involved, because he works harder than anybody else.
Yeah, no, it's not about that. I mean, at the end of it, it wasn't even about, it wasn't about not being involved in that. It wasn't like saying that someone's not doing something. It was more just like we were more contributing, we were more involved. It was more collaborative by the time both of us left the show. And so stepping into this was, of course, the natural progression from that. And absolutely, yes, to answer her question, absolutely, it was, there might be things.
Did I not answer the question? Okay.
There might be things that,
Keep going.
there might be things, but I was interrupting you a lot. There might be things that you're thinking, okay, I would definitely want to see my character in these ways a little bit more. But yes, because we had, there's, this is my issue, because I think as a writer so much. So yeah, there might be ways that I want to explore an expression or a way or a moment in a character that isn't necessarily something we got to explore during the mothership, and the circumstances are completely different. So it's like, why not find this moment or that moment and push a thing. And yeah, we had to collaborate on that. As I was saying earlier, collaboration is not cooperation. So there were times we did not agree on it, how far or how, and we had to find the balance of where, it sat right for every character and for every, realm of the story. But yeah, absolutely. I think it was a great experience that way, to actually get to tussle around your characters' stories. There were things that we'd sit down and, I won't mention the episode, but there was a time we all sat down with Channing, and we sort of figured out, and that episode ended up having specific things that each of us had put in there, you know what I mean? And so getting to do that together was very special and very cool. And it does allow you to feel like, okay, the character has been expressed. Would I have loved more decaps? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
More decaps for Michonne.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a t-shirt.
We ran out of money.
Shh, don't tell them that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Do you
Yeah, we
look at this experience, these 6 episodes, as that was a great chapter, or that was a nice bow to put on the package and it's done?
Well, that's a very good question. And I like to think,
It's a wonderful question.
I like to think both answers are yes, affirmative to those. I think I like to think that it would exist as its own thing, but with a ... afterwards. I was just to sort of talk about the producing side of things as well. What was amazing, I think, is realizing that actually what the point of a producer is actually to get everybody inside the same head, looking through the same eyes. Everybody on set, cast, crew, everybody. If you get that right, then everything works like clockwork. It was really exciting producing, and also the post-production process was amazing, and it really sort of whet my appetite to do more of it as well. It was a really exciting
Definitely
process. Dave Morrissey said to me, he said, this is in season 4, and he went, "You're a producer in name alone. You're basically a producer anyway, just not in
Well,
name."
Andy, you definitely did that. Andy definitely was very much a leader on the set, in the sense of all that, and set the tone and set the energy, and it was just a non-ego. There was no ego on the set because he didn't have an ego, and
But
it was like,
that was set by Frank, and it was set by all of that ensemble that we
well,
had. It wasn't-
I never met Frank.
Yeah.
So when I got there, all I had was you.
Okay.
You were all I had.
That's Frank.
Okay, that was it. And but you could have had it or not. I mean, you could have kept it going or not, but you grounded. Whatever, just take the compliment. So he really grounded the energy of the space and made it a place you wanted to go to every day. So that everyone was so loved each other. There was respect. There was joy. It was a joyful place to come to work as we killed each other and all these. So that is definitely an energy that in and of itself, what he's saying, what a producer is, that's totally exactly it. That because he brought that, and so everyone knew we're here to love what we do, respect each other, and and stay humble about it.
And when
you're lead, you're number one on the call sheet is driving the same Ford Focus for 9 years.
Listen, it was
It
a hybrid.
keeps everyone
It was
really,
saving
really humble.
It was,
I
it was a hybrid. I was there
Andy
way
says,
before anybody else. We're saving the planet here, guys.
freaking car this year. God dang it. Can you just...
Okay, the fact that there were 6 episodes,
Sorry.
was that a relief? Because you used to have to do 20 or something.
We did 16.
16, okay.
Gimple just said something about this. What did he say?
What did he say?
He said something about how 16 almost felt easier. That's what he said.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I think actually in producing terms it is, because you can move the money around easier and sort of shape, and so you can protect. You can have more bottle episodes, which obviously is smaller episodes, so you can save. I get it as a sort of producerial answer. I think that's probably true, but I think probably as a writer, that's impossible. 16 hours, you're going to have to tread water for 2 episodes. It's very difficult to write that amount of story in a season.
Well, I mean, the good thing was they had, I think what made it work was they had a pretty elaborate writing team, and then they would come in and do, and this is some of the stuff that I think the WGA was sort of negotiating around, being that I am a member. The idea of how you allowed, and so are you, and the idea of how they allowed the writing rooms. We had a very good amount of people on the bench that could come in when their episode was on. They would be supervising producers. The other team would be writing. So things were allowed to flow. You
need them on set.
You need
do.
the writers on set as producers, and then you need folks who are still making sure that in the writers' room, keeping things going and getting it to the finish line, because the showrunner is needed everywhere.
Yeah.
So the idea that they're just going to be able to see it all through perfectly without that support is crazy, which I think was part of what was being fought for. So very much so. I think that was a huge part of why the mothership was able to do what it was able to do for all those years. Was that sort of support, that anchorage.
Okay. That's my time already.
Oh.
What?
Crazy.
That was great.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
sorry, that was a mess.
No, it
we
wasn't.
just were
No.
going off. Maybe I was
Funny.
messy.
People love you.
I was really neat. She was